Greetings, Gothamites, and welcome back to the channel. I am the Crowlector, and today... Oh, I'm sorry, I thought I turned my phone off. One second. Wait, I don't have my phone. I gave it to Nash. He must have had it when he...
Okay.
That's right, everybody. Today is a very special day. A day long in the making. Because I am finally checking out... the Jurassic Park 3 Hammond Collection Spinosaurus. Why, hello there. Yes, it's me, on the exact same day as before. I simply had to move to a bigger room because these dinosaurs are so big. There certainly hasn't been any time that has passed between those last parts and this one. Ha 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 ha. Well, okay, so it's not a complete and total lie. I did have to move to a bigger space because, as you can see, the Spinosaurus is, I believe the scientific term is a heckin' chonker. This guy is pretty darn big. He is a big bebe. So I need a little extra room to swaddle him, as is appropriate. Aww. But seriously, y'all, I'm excited because I've been waiting for this guy for what feels like 65 million years. It's been 84 years. I am a Jurassic Park 3 defender. Specifically, the Spinosaurus, who might very well be one of my favorite dinosaurs of the series, if not the favorite. I realize that Jurassic Park 3 is not everyone's cup of tea. Is it a good movie? That's up for debate, but it's a fun movie. If you're just looking for 90 minutes of silly, mindless dinosaur action, then I think Jurassic Park 3 is a perfect popcorn flick. Justice for Spinosaurus, I say. Now, again, I know he's not everyone's cup of tea. He came in with very little warning and took down the baby T-Rex. Rest in peace. But most people think he might be a little overpowered, but I think he's exactly what he needed to be, which was this new big bad. And who among us could forget the instantly iconic Kirby Paint and Tile Plus ringtone? I mean, somebody needs to make that into a dance remix.
This beat so fresh, I'ma go like.
Alan.
Alan.
This was before we had all the super cool mutant dinosaurs that we have now, like the Indominus, the Indoraptor.
It's bigger. It's better. It's too much.
The Tyrannosaurus.
Whoa.
And being the new big bad dino, this guy, of course, flew off the shelves. Despite being perhaps the one dinosaur figure that I wanted from the movie, I was never really able to get a Spinosaurus toy up until a couple years ago with the Jurassic Park Legacy line. And while that version certainly was gorgeous and did the trick at the time, I think in my heart of hearts, I was secretly yearning for something like the Hammond Collection. The Amber Collection, which was starting to come out around the time, never got to the bigger dinosaurs, only the smaller ones. But that didn't stop me from wanting a Spinosaurus in the line. Hammond Collection is basically like the Star Wars Black Series or the Marvel Legends of the Jurassic Park line. So as far as a mass retail figure, this is about as good as you can get in terms of paint, likeness, of course, articulation, just overall detail and quality. Needless to say, this guy absolutely blows the legacy version out of the water, no pun intended. Never really been a huge fan, admittedly, of the kind of gimmicks that the Jurassic lines have. You know, the buttons and the snappy snappy and the rory rory, slashy slashy, that sort of thing. I've never really liked, you know, on the sides when they do the claw marks, the visible flesh and ribs. It looked cool when I was a kid, and I had a bit more imagination than I do now, but the adult collector in me just wants something that looks nice on the shelf, doesn't necessarily tell a story, it can pose and bend and look pretty and ferocious. I do think the little like pull-out QR code things are cool. I actually haven't really gotten started on that, but what I really love about the community is that they are very quick to help each other out. So I've seen a lot of people post the QR codes to scan, so I don't think I'll have any issues getting caught up with that. I never really cared about the action features, especially if it sacrificed the sculpt and articulation. Obviously, being somewhat more affordable toys aimed at kids, you know, they have to keep the detail a little bit small, a little bit soft. But that's where the Hammond Collection comes in handy, because they are aimed more towards the older kids like myself. You can afford maybe a little tiny bit more, because who needs to eat when you can have dinosaurs? And these guys are not meant to be tossed around and bashed together. They can, of course. You know, Mattel, being the innovators that they are, definitely, I'm sure, planned for it. You know, they do still feel durable. They're made of a nice, sturdy, hollow plastic like some of the other toys. Now, taking a look first at the packaging, excuse the glare there, but this is the first wave where we've really gotten the new packaging to show off the redesign of the Hammond Collection. We do have a nice colorful little render here of the Spino. Here we have the Spino in all its ferocious glory. Look at those. Reading the bio, it says, in a pivotal moment on Isla Sorna, the Spinosaurus and Tyrannosaurus Rex battle for domination, as Dr. Alan Grant and others are too close for comfort. The Spinosaurus definitively defeats the Tyrannosaurus Rex, rest in peace, and takes the primary predator position, even securing top billing in the iconic movie logo. I absolutely cannot wait to get this out of the package and show it off. And here we have the Spinosaurus in most of its glory out of the box. Of course, the tail is a separate piece, so let's go ahead and plug that butt. Nice, satisfying pop. And fine, after 24 years, I have the Spinosaurus in all its glory. I feel like Rafiki from The Lion King, just And as you can see, this guy is absolutely beautiful. Quite sleek in places, but also appropriately bulky where it needs to be. And that's the thing that really set the Spinosaurus apart from the T-Rex, was just how much bigger and more intimidating this guy was. This dino has not been skipping the gym, that is for sure. And one of the things that's great about the Hammond Collection is just, like I said, the upgrade in detail. And this definitely sports that. You can see every little pebbled scale. It's not like they just put a pattern on like a flat belly, a flat kind of plastic shell. No. Every scale is different. A different shape, even down to the rubber here. They really took the time to make the mold unique. If you compare it to, say, the pebbles on the T-Rex or on the Giga, it's all going to be different. Especially, of course, in the head, you get that really nice pronounced brow bone here. This sort of almost like devilish horns with the red there. Hi everybody. You got games on your phones? I like to think that's what it sounds like. On that really long snout, which of course can open up. Go to the dentist. And painted claws on his arms and toes as well. That's another plus to the Hammond Collection, is no more having to fill in these unpainted toenails yourself. And as far as the paint goes, it's definitely an upgrade from that Legacy Collection. which was nice and rather appropriate, but being a slightly lesser price point, you get a little bit less bang for your buck, a little bit less paint for your pennies, if you will. I've always really, really loved the color scheme of the Spinosaurus. I think this was like the first time we really got a dinosaur that wasn't like just a shade of brown or green or gray. You know, obviously it has the tan, but that red is really, really striking. As you can see, as the light hits it, it just is very, very vibrant. In the film, I think it depends on the light, but I do think it's overall a bit more of like a darker red, almost more of like a brownish red, and the white is kind of more subdued as well. There's also sometimes like a blue, almost iridescent strips along the fin, sort of like the light on a fish's scale, which is not present here. I have seen that some versions of this guy have that wash along the fin, but as you can see, nothing really hits on mine. So I don't know if this was an earlier run, something like that. I might see if I can hit it with like a bit of an iridescent paint. Either way, it's not that big a deal because I really do love the very stark, bright contrast between the red and the white. It almost looks like he just covered himself in blood, which it kind of did. He got very bloody early on in the film. And of course, the little bit of green we get with the eyes. The Hammond Collection started doing glass eyes within the last year or so, which I really, really love. Some of the earlier releases were still plastic eyes. I think the Rex was the first one that utilized the glass, but it really, really helps bring it to life in a way that the plastic just doesn't, because depending on how you have it and the light hits it, really gives it that kind of moist, wet look of like a real eye. Of course, the only downside of that is that sometimes you get eyes that are like a little off-center. For me, on this guy at least, they're both really, really good. I think this eye, I don't know how well you can see it, but I think this eye is a little bit better than this one. This one appears to be looking a little bit forward. But, you know, depending on how you have him posed, you will probably only see one eye at a time anyway, so it's not that big a deal. Articulation-wise, again, with the Hammond Collection, you do get a bit more than your traditional figure. You get, I guess it is a ratcheted jaw, which on this guy you get about 3 settings. He goes only about yay wide, connected by these rubbery cheek pieces here. And I think that's really all you would need anyway. Anything more than that, anything more than like a serious roar might start to look a little unnatural and would probably lead to breakage. And then I do love that the tongue is a separate piece as well. You can have it kind of flicking in the middle there, or just resting against the bottom of his mouth. As you can see, he is open wide. He's ready for snack time, ready for the dentist. And of course, you do get the nice kind of soft, rubbery plastic teeth, which I think helps not only with not worrying about breakage so much, but if you hit yourself, if you do chomp down, it's not going to hurt that much. They do sit very nicely. This guy, as you can see, he doesn't have the teeth that go in between each other. He just has that overbite where they kind of almost derpily, hi guys, I'm Samus Spinosaurus. You know, he might benefit from some dino braces. Otherwise, very, very good. There is a sort of ball joint at the mid-neck that's really only hindered by the scales over it. So you can only go about yay high in the back and yay low in the front because of the little folded neck flaps there. But to make up for that just a little bit, he does have an extra second ball joint at the base of the neck, which you do get a little bit more movement in. Ooh, ooh. With such a longer snout, you're really going to want to relieve some of that tension. The arms are your classic kind of swivel hinge as well. You get the nice swivel, well, I guess they are technically swivel hinge shoulders, but unless they're extended out, you really don't get much in the way of the rotation there, because once they're bent, they kind of get stopped at the little outward bit there. They still look really nice when he's kind of on the hunt. And then the claw itself is a bit of a softer plastic as well. These have a nice swivel hinge. You do get some decent up or downward, definitely some more downward motion. So he can be skulking, he can be reaching, he can be raising that roof, whatever you need from your Spinosaurus. And these all make for some really good movement. The Spino grabbed onto things a lot in the movie, which was another thing that the T-Rex could not do. Its teensy-weensy little arms. No movement in the stomach, and that's okay. I don't really know if you would be able to without really breaking up the sculpt, and since it is a hollow plastic anyway, it might lead to more breakage. At the thighs, you do get sort of like I guess a swivel hinge. It kind of looks like he's doing his thigh master work there. You don't get much outward movement. It really just helps with stabilizing and giving him that dominant power stance. But other than that, you get all the way around ratchet joints on his legs, which does, if you want to work him into like a swimming pose somehow, does really come in handy there. Especially because for the rest of the leg, which is very articulated, you have a nice at the kneecap there. Then his foot as well is divided into these two separate hinges here, one at the top and then one at the foot itself. You get, of course, a little bit of swiveling as well. And then the really cool thing, another thing I really love about these Hammond Collection figures are the tails, which are generally made from a softer, more bendable rubber. Ooh, he's gotten some gas, I think. This one has a nice kind of squishy shell to cover up the endy material underneath. This really comes in handy when you're trying to get him to fit on your shelf because, as you can see, he does take up a lot of space. So for me, at least, it does help if you can kind of bend. Not only does it help with the stabilization of the figure, but it doesn't take out quite as much room sticking straight out. So if you want, you can bend him, get him in a nice, really cool, victorious pose. Yes! Yes! I definitely do prefer this to the more articulated tails, which I think like the Giga had. Nothing against those. It is kind of nice when it mixes the soft plastic with the thicker, but it does, again, break up that sculpt. And here he is next to Rexy. Of course, this is not the T-Rex that Spino took down in JP3. That was just a little bit. But Rexy did certainly get her revenge on the Spino, or a Spino in Jurassic World when it crashed through the skeleton. As you can see, let me straighten things out here. This is kind of what I was talking about with the segmented tail. You get the plastic bit on Rexy here, and then sort of a little divider and the softer bit here. It doesn't look bad by any means, but the closer you get to it, you can see it just does kind of break up the sculpt. But depending on how you have it posed, it really wouldn't be that noticeable. Not only is Spino a little bit taller, but it's a smidge bit longer as well. So again, it's not exactly a fair comparison because this is not the T-Rex that Spino fought, but hey, because they're closer in size, it's more of an equal fight, or they could just be best friends. I love you, Rexy. Hey, thanks, Spino. I know Rexy's a girl, but maybe she had a lot to smoke. Who knows? Hey, don't be messing up with my neighbor's kid no more, you hear me, Spino? Sorry, Rexy, I just wanted to play. Do you want to be my friend? Well, if you promise not to hurt anyone else. It's okay. I've given up a life of violence. In fact, I'm gonna move off the island and you won't see me again for at least 4 more films. But maybe an animated spin-off show where I'll be mind-controlled by Haley Joel Osment. Haha! That sounds like a crazy time, Spino. Can I have a hug? Sure.
Sammy and Tammy was filmed in front of a live studio audience.
All in all, I am very, very happy with this figure. It really, honestly, kind of feels like a dream come true. Not just because this is one of, if not my favorite dino, at least Jurassic dinos, but also because the Hammond Collection just brings us such nice, detailed, articulated versions of these dinos that we love so much. I mean, this is what I envisioned the Spinosaurus toy of old to look like when I was younger, if that makes sense. And in my child brain, it was this hyper-detailed and articulated, despite not really holding up so well as time went on. Obviously, I was happy enough with the Legacy version, but come on. I mean, this is just better in every single way. The only way I think that maybe it could be improved even a little bit is if they did add that more iridescent blue shine, which I do think is maybe possible on my own. I'm not very good with customizing, but I'm learning, so maybe I'll give it a try and let you guys know how it turns out. But that'll about do it for the Spino. What big bad dino would you like to see next in the Hammond Collection? I would really love to finally get a Hammond Collection Indominus, the Indoraptor. We did get that really nice hyper-articulated Indoraptor, so I don't really know what else could be improved other than maybe cutting back on the shininess. Maybe even the Scorpius Rex from Camp Cretaceous I think could look really, really cool in a slightly more screen-accurate version. JP3 Pteranodon I would love. I know we did get it in the Amber Collection, which I do still have, but something a little bit more in scale. And even though it would be friggin' huge, a Hammond Collection Quetzalcoatlus. I can never say that. But the Quetzal, the big bird, I would love to get in the Hammond Collection. I don't even want to think about how wide that thing could be. I don't have enough space on my shelf as is, but I would find a way. I might try and like put it up on a wall. Also, let's get some compies up in here, okay? Like, we got the Amber Collection compies, but give us a multi-pack of Hammond Collection compies, like little teeny guys that scale well with the human. Let me know what you guys think. That will do it for me today. I'm going to go play more with my lovely pet Spino here. Maybe I'll get in the bath and have some aquatic action. Get your mind out of the gutter. Go ahead and leave me a comment below, and subscribe. I will be back soon with more creepy collection content, and maybe some dastardly dino content too. Bye guys. Don't forget, stay spooky.
This beat so fresh, I'ma go like